Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing Dumpee will never get X back if this. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing Dumpee will never get X back if this. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it's important to remember that there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time, and nothing fails 100% of the time. But with that being said, there are certain things that a dumpee can do which will almost certainly prevent a dumper from changing their mind about the breakup. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 things that a dumpee needs to avoid if they want any realistic chance of getting their ex back. So let's get straight into this. And number 1 is if they have an unstable mindset. So when we're thinking about trying to get an ex back, probably the most important concept to try and focus on is getting a stable mindset. And that is because when you go through a breakup, your mindset becomes very unstable. You are experiencing a combination of feelings similar to grief combined with drug withdrawal, and it is so challenging to make rational, sensible, and beneficial decisions during this time. So when you're going for a breakup, you're very unlikely to be able to make the best decisions that you could possibly consider. So I always say to people, if you're going for a breakup, don't make important decisions. Don't make decisions which are going to be very hard to reverse, such as I don't suggest you get a tattoo during a breakup, because this could be something that you could find very difficult to remove if you're not happy with what you've chosen. And therefore, I do suggest that you really try to focus on things such as having a tattoo, such as shaving off all of your hair, if you have really long hair, for instance, and many, many other things. Of course, they could get even more serious regarding your work life. They could be connected to friends or family. Whatever the situation is, if it's a big decision, I don't suggest you try and make such a decision during a breakup because your mindset is not stable. But when you're trying to get an ex back, it's so important that you try and get back your stable mindset ASAP. And that is because, unfortunately, it is not attractive to have an unstable mindset. It's not attractive to be overly emotional. And it's certainly not attractive to be desperate, needy, or jealous. And all of these feelings can really come into play when you are going for a breakup and your mindset is not stable. If you was to go to a party, you open the door, you walk into the room, and you see 2 groups of people. One group of people are laughing and joking and sounding really positive. The other group of people are surrounding somebody who is very upset. They're very emotional. Maybe they're crying. Maybe they're shouting about. They're just being somebody who does not look like they've got a stable mindset. If you walk into a party, who are you going to gravitate towards? Okay, you are going to gravitate towards the group of people who are laughing, joking, and being positive, because that is attractive. Now, you might go towards the other group of people where you see that person who is upset, but you'll put your arm around them, you'll give them a hug, you'll ask if they're all right. But what you won't do is find it attractive, because it is not attractive. It's not attractive to be emotionally unstable. And that sounds really difficult to hear right now, because you're probably listening to this and thinking, I'm emotionally unstable. Okay? But the good news is that these feelings are temporary. These feelings of upset, hurt, frustration, all of this negativity are temporary. But you need to get through this ASAP. And although it's not a race, you can do things to really help your cause. Speaking to friends and family, speaking to a professional such as a therapist or a counsellor if necessary. If you feel depressed, please contact a local doctor. They will help you. These feelings are temporary and you will get through this. But unfortunately, we have to say that if you have an unstable mindset, if you're acting in an irrational way, this is not attractive and this is not a way to get your ex back. So when we're focusing on today's podcast, when we're focusing on what a dumpee should try to avoid when trying to get their ex back, we have to say this one, an unstable mindset, not being steady with your thoughts is not attractive. It's not going to help you get your ex back. And therefore, a dumpee will never get their ex back if they have an unstable mindset. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about what dumpees need to try and avoid if they want to get their ex back. And point number 2 is if they become a version 0.5 of themselves. So for those of you who've listened to many of my other podcasts, you will always hear me say that I want you to strive to become a version 2.0 of yourself, becoming a better person today than you were yesterday and a better person tomorrow than you are currently today. And that is what you want to be aiming for. But on the opposite side of things, something you need to avoid is becoming a version 0.5. And that is, of course, a version of yourself which is worse than the version that your ex knew. So let's try and break this down. So when you're going through a breakup, we've already said you have an unstable mindset. A breakup will shock you to the core. A breakup is similar to the feelings of grief that you would go through if a loved one passed away. Okay, so it's very serious stuff. These type of emotions are very real, they're very raw. And hence, if you're not careful, there is a chance that your life could regress in other ways. I always try to say to people, whatever you're going through in life, if something bad happens, you need to try and draw a line in the sand and try to focus on moving forward from that point. Do not let the house of cards crumble. Do not let everything around you crumble due to a bad event. And it can be very challenging, but you can avoid this. You can get through this. So when I speak about becoming a version 0.5, I'm talking about people who go through a breakup and maybe, for instance, they stop taking care of themselves. Maybe they stop having baths, having showers. Perhaps their eating changes dramatically. Maybe they barely eat at all and lose a lot of weight. Maybe they start binge eating and eating a lot more. Their weight can change dramatically. So if you're not keeping care of yourself, if you're not washing, if you're not bathing, if you're not eating properly, if you're not getting enough exercise, all of these things can regress you to a version 0.5 of yourself. What if, for instance, you don't focus on your work and you lose your job? Maybe you fall out with your boss. Maybe you're feeling emotional and you have an argument with somebody at work and it all goes wrong and you get the sack. Okay, that is not going to help. That is going to make you a version 0.5. Already, you have lost your relationship, but now you're letting other things crumble as well. Your health and well-being, your work life. Possibly you start taking bad substances. Again, this is very bad for your health and fitness. These are the things I would describe amongst other possibilities about how you can regress to become a version 0.5. And this is something you need to avoid, because if a dumpee becomes a version 0.5 of themselves, they're never going to get their ex back, because unfortunately the version 1 of themselves lost that relationship as well. So we have to consider that if you want to try to get your ex back, you need to improve in every single way. And that's not to say that your ex is perfect, and that's not to say that everything you have done was wrong. But if you want to try to get your ex back, you need to be giving yourself the best possible chance. And that means improving in every single way, so you are getting your own house in order. And therefore, if and when you hear from your ex, you will wow them by your new lifestyle. So if a version 1 of you lost this relationship, shall we say, then the version 0.5, as you can see, is not likely to be able to attract your ex. You want to be pushing forward, not regressing backwards. So when we consider point number 2, and another reason about why a dumpee will never get their ex back, if this, then that is becoming a version 0.5 of yourself. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about things that dumpees need to avoid if they want to try to get their ex back. And point number 3 is if they don't accept the breakup. So when you've been dumped, when your relationship is over, you must accept the breakup, because you can only start to get your ex back at the time you've accepted that it's over. When somebody ends a relationship, they have lost romantic emotional attraction. This can't be persuaded back. This can't be begged back. This can't be pleaded back. This has to be grown back organically by the person who has lost attraction, the dumper. And hence, you need to accept the breakup. You need to realize and understand that you are a single person and your ex is a single person. If you don't accept this, if you keep begging and pleading and chasing your ex and making out to the world that you're still together or this is only temporary, this is not going to help you. You know, it links in with point number 1 somewhat. It's an unstable mindset, and your ex, the dumper, is probably going to be thinking, okay, this is slightly unnerving. Okay, they're not accepting what I'm saying. They're not respecting what I'm saying. Why on earth would I take them back when they don't listen to me? I wasn't happy in this relationship. That's the reality. That's why somebody ends a relationship. So if you don't listen to the person, if you don't accept that it's over, you can't get them back. You have to understand that if you do get your ex back, this will be a brand new relationship, and hopefully built on stronger foundations. It will not be a continuation of your previous relationship. That relationship is over. Your relationship is over. It doesn't mean you can't reconnect in the future. It doesn't mean you can't get your ex back. And it certainly doesn't mean that you won't find somebody even better, because I believe if you do everything right, it's win-win. You will either get your ex back or you will find somebody even better. So you should be feeling positive about moving forward. Stay as positive as you can in this difficult situation, and realize that once you accept the breakup, you can focus on becoming a version 2.0 of yourself and not regressing, like I was saying in point number 2. Don't become a version 0.5, instead push forward. And that can only be started once you accept the breakup. Unless you accept the breakup, you won't realize what went wrong. Your ex isn't perfect. I'm not perfect, and you aren't perfect either. During the relationship, your ex would have made mistakes, you would have made mistakes, but unfortunately for you, your ex was the one who decided that this relationship wasn't working for them. So, whatever the reason may have been, or multiple reasons, you need to focus and address them. Now, they might be unreasonable. Your ex-dumper might have ended the relationship for unreasonable reasons, and hence, you don't need to be trying to fix things which aren't reasonable. But you can't even consider those things until you accept that it's over. If you don't believe it's over, you're not even going to consider what the problem may be. And if your ex-dumper didn't even tell you what the problem was, then you really need to be focusing on yourself, improving every day, and living your life to the full. Because you might not have been told why they ended the relationship, or if you were told, it might not have even been the truth. You just need to think of you and moving forward as the only thing that matters. Be selfish right now. You can be selfish. Focus on yourself. It's not about your ex anymore. It's just about you living your life and your loved ones, your friends, your family, making sure you maintain your job. If you go to work, make sure you continue with your education. If you're learning right now, you've got to be focusing on improving your life, not regressing, living life to the full, and understand that if you do everything right, as I said, it's win-win, because you will either get your ex back or you will find somebody even better, because you will grow your attraction net as a version 2.0. When you throw your attraction net out into the sea, if the attraction net is larger, then you will attract more people than before. So become a better person in yourself, and you are more attractive to more people, some of which will be better than your ex, because you'll be more attractive than when you found your ex originally. So try your hardest to stay positive. You can do this. You will do this. If you don't get your ex back, you will find somebody even better. But this begins with you accepting the breakup, because the final point of today's podcast, when we're speaking about a dumpee, will never get their ex back if they don't accept the breakup. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.